I'm not an opponent of the concept of marijuana legalization, but I have a real significant issue with the reality that in some quarters and in some circles, HB 837 and other policies seem to take a position that the use of marijuana, particularly the public use of marijuana, is a smaller, more insignificant, less important thing to our civic nature than alcohol. So what this bill says right now is the smoking of cannabis in a public place is just a civil offense. And what's it punishable by? Well, for a first finding of guilt, you get fined up to $50. Doesn't have to be $50, just can't exceed $50. And if you do it again and again and again and again and again and again, for a second or subsequent finding of guilt, up to an unlimited number, the fine can't exceed, doesn't have to be, but it can't exceed $150. What I'm not okay with is this isn't a slap on the wrist, this is a tickle on the wrist. This is ridiculous. And what makes it even more ridiculous is I don't know if many of you are familiar with what the penalty is in the state of Maryland for consuming an alcoholic beverage in a public place. Well, the penalty for that under Maryland Code Alcoholic Beverage Section 6-320, person who violates this section is guilty of a misdemeanor, not a civil offense, guilty of a misdemeanor, and on conviction is subject to imprisonment not exceeding 90 days or a fine not exceeding $100 or both. So the fine for the public consumption of alcohol is higher than what it is for marijuana, and you can go to jail for the public consumption of alcohol in the state of Maryland, but not marijuana. Why? Why? What analysis is there in the entire world that suggests that there should be such a deviation between these two products? Is it just pure politics? Is it just muscle politics? We want this, so we're going to do this? Makes no sense. And so what my amendment does is it simply conforms our law. It makes the public use of smoking marijuana the exact same penalty, the exact same structure as the public use, being intoxicated and publicly using alcohol.
Just got to jump up and I was not going to speak on this amendment, but I talked to so many people about marijuana, this bill, this issue. Everybody says you ought to treat marijuana the same way you treat alcohol. It's just common sense. It is common sense. You know, you can talk about this and take it down a road and put it in another light to try to look at it, but this is just common sense. Whether you're for legalization or not, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to anybody. This is common sense. You know, if you look at the way society works, alcohol is there right now, right? You're talking about legalizing marijuana, but you don't want to make it the same as alcohol. You don't want to have that parity. I can't understand why we have to debate this. This is as blatant and obvious as any issue before us in the general public until you come into this room. I know we've already debated it before when we did decriminalization in Ocean City and all that stuff, but this is a friendly discussion, but we are totally missing the point. Totally missing the point. And to take sides and dig in our heels and make these arguments the way we're making them, it really is, I think it's a little demeaning about the integrity of what we're doing here. If we're trying to they talk about legislating, making sausage, about making good sausage, you know, you're just missing the basic principle. I mean, I don't get this. I think it's a very good amendment. It's common sense. If you're going to legalize marijuana, make it the same as alcohol. It's just, I don't know. I don't want to go on and on, but it just defies logic.
Gentleman from Anne Arundel.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise in support of the amendment just because I'm thinking of all of our friends
and neighbors and Marylanders and taxpayers and our intelligence and security community. Don't these folks deserve some safety? Don't they deserve a little peace of mind? They're walking down the street, there's 4 or 5 people using marijuana, smoking marijuana down the street. What do you think that looks like? I can tell you what that looks like. You go back to an office and you tell your boss that your security clearance may be at risk because you were exposed. And I just think that they deserve that protection. And, you know, these are folks that keep us safe, especially today. And I just think they deserve a little peace of mind. I think we should treat it no differently than open beverage container.
Madam Speaker.
The other gentleman from Anne Arundel.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. You know, I think this is a common sense amendment. I don't think, I'm convinced, I mean, we drive the speed limit because we're afraid to get a ticket because it's the law, because we don't want to endanger other people. And I think it's the same thing. This is the same body that promotes high parking tickets for when you park in a handicap or if you park in an electric vehicle spot, because what fines do, which I know all of you agree to that it deters people from doing something they're not supposed to do. And I'm not telling people what to do in their own home, but when you're doing something outside your home, you have to respect the other people, that whether they agree with you or not. And one of the things, or 3 things, that smoking in public, which has been proven by studies that it alters mood, it impairs body movement, and it can cause hallucination. So this is more than anything than a public safety issue. So I urge the body to support this amendment. Thank you, Madam Speaker.